Commander James Reed stood at the massive window of Earth's orbital command station, his weathered hands pressed against the cold glass. His eyes tracked the last gleaming ships of the Commonwealth as they jumped into hyperspace, leaving trails of blue light against the dark canvas of space. Each disappearing ship felt like a knife in his chest. "They're really leaving us," he whispered to himself, watching another group of ships vanish. The morning had started like any other day, but everything changed when the Commonwealth ships began powering up their engines without warning or explanation. Below him, Earth spun slowly, still beautiful despite what was happening. The planetary shield, a gift from the Commonwealth that had protected them from asteroids and solar flares for the past 30 years, flickered and died section by section. Reed's screen lit up with hundreds of alerts as the shield grid failed. "Commander," Lieutenant Tom Parker burst into the control room, his face pale. "The Commonwealth representatives, they're gone. All of them. They just left their offices. Everything's still there. Their computers, their documents, even their morning coffee is still warm." Reed turned away from the window, his jaw tight. "What about the technology centers? The medical facilities? They're taking everything they can," Tom reported, checking his tablet. "But they're leaving behind the basic systems, power plants, water treatment, some of the simpler machines. It's like they're reducing us to a minimal functioning level." Through the station's cameras, Reed watched Commonwealth personnel boarding their ships in an orderly but hurried manner. None of them looked back. None of them offered explanations. The same scene played out in every Commonwealth facility across the globe. "Sir," called Mary Wilson from her monitoring station, "I'm picking up data deletion across all Commonwealth networks. They're wiping everything: research data, historical records, technical specifications." Reed slammed his fist against the window. "Save what you can. Download everything." The next few hours were chaos. Earth's remaining officials tried desperately to contact the Commonwealth ships, but received only automated responses. "The Earth Development Project has been terminated. Thank you for your participation." Reed organized teams to secure what remained. They managed to save some data, some technology, but most of the advanced systems were either taken or locked behind encryptions they couldn't break. The Commonwealth had planned this well. As night fell over the command station, Reed gathered the remaining staff in the main control room. Through the windows, they could see the last few Commonwealth ships preparing to leave. The room was silent except for the hum of computers and the occasional beep of failing systems. "They think they've crippled us," Reed said, looking at each person in turn. Their faces showed fear, anger, and uncertainty. "They've taken their fancy toys and left us with scraps. But they've forgotten something important." He walked to the central display, bringing up a map of Earth's remaining functional infrastructure. "They left us our minds, our determination, our will to survive. Yes, they've taken their most advanced technology. But what remains is still far beyond what we had when they first found us. And more importantly, we know it can be done. We know what's possible." Mary raised her hand. "But sir, without their guidance." "Their guidance?" Reed laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Look at how they left. No warning, no explanation, no concern for the billions of lives they're affecting. Is that the guidance we want?" Tom stepped forward, his earlier fear replaced with anger. "They treated us like an experiment." "Exactly," Reed nodded. "And now we're going to show them their biggest mistake wasn't leaving. It was underestimating us." As the last Commonwealth ship disappeared into hyperspace, Reed looked at his team. "We start now. Secure all remaining facilities. Gather our best minds. Save every scrap of data we can find. They think they've abandoned us to die. Let them think that. We'll show them what humanity can do when we're pushed into a corner." The room filled with determined nods and fierce looks. Outside, Earth continued its eternal spin, its shield gone but its people unbowed. The Commonwealth had just made the biggest mistake in their history. They had given humanity a reason to prove them wrong. In the coming days, as Reed worked to coordinate Earth's response to the abandonment, he kept thinking about the Commonwealth's arrogance. They thought they were leaving behind a helpless, primitive species. Instead, they had created something far more dangerous, a humanity united by betrayal, armed with partial knowledge of advanced technology, and burning with the desire to prove themselves. The abandonment wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. 50 years had passed since the Commonwealth abandoned Earth. The old orbital command station, once gleaming with alien technology, now housed Earth's most ambitious research project. Inside its modified halls, Dr. Emma Stone held up a small device that pulsed with a soft blue light. "We did it," she said, her eyes bright with triumph. "We finally cracked their power core design." Behind her, Commander Reed's son, Robert Reed, now Earth's defense director, watched the demonstration with keen interest. At 65, he carried the same determined look his father had worn during the abandonment. "How efficient is it compared to theirs?" Robert asked, leaning forward in his wheelchair. Age hadn't diminished his sharp mind. "Better," Emma smiled. "They designed their cores for stability. We designed ours for power. They never thought to push the limits because they didn't have to. We did, and we found a better way." The last 5 decades had transformed Earth. Cities now sported a mix of human innovation and reverse-engineered Commonwealth technology. Solar-powered vehicles zipped through streets under the watchful eye of a new planetary defense system, entirely human-made, though built on Commonwealth principles. Director Reed, a young technician, burst into the lab, tablet in hand. "We found something in the old bunker beneath Rio. You need to see this." Hours later, Earth's leadership gathered in a hidden facility deep under the Brazilian rainforest. The bunker's walls were lined with ancient Commonwealth data stores, forgotten or overlooked during the hasty departure. "Play it again," Robert commanded, his eyes fixed on the holographic display. The recording flickered to life, showing a Commonwealth official speaking to a board of alien species. "Earth Experiment Status Report. The human subjects continue to show concerning rates of advancement. Their adaptability exceeds all previous models. Recommendation: immediate termination of the experiment before containment becomes impossible." Emma stepped through the hologram, her face tight with anger. "We were never colonists to them. We were lab rats." "There's more," the technician said, bringing up another file. They had similar experiments on 12 other worlds, all species showing rapid development potential, all abandoned like us. Robert wheeled himself to a computer terminal, his fingers flying over the keys. "Look at these technical files. They didn't just leave us. They left behind failsafes, hidden weaknesses in every piece of technology they gave us. But we didn't just use their technology," Emma pointed out. "We rebuilt it, reformed it, made it our own." Robert nodded, a grim smile forming on his face. "They thought they were being clever, giving us crippled versions of their tech. Instead, they forced us to understand it at a deeper level than they do." The room fell silent as they scrolled through more data. Files showed Commonwealth reports expressing growing concern about human innovation, about how Earth's people solved problems in unexpected ways, how they adapted Commonwealth technology for purposes never intended. "Here's the real prize," Emma said suddenly, pulling up a star chart. "Defense layouts, shield frequencies, their patrol routes. They were so confident in their superiority, they didn't even bother to change them after leaving." Robert's eyes narrowed as he studied the information. "They're still watching us, you know. Their stealth satellites think we can't detect them. They expect to find a struggling civilization, barely holding onto the scraps they left us. Then let's keep playing the part," Emma suggested, her mind racing with possibilities. "Let them think their experiment is going exactly as planned." Robert turned to address the gathered leaders. "My father lived long enough to see us recover from the abandonment. He always said their biggest mistake wasn't leaving us. It was underestimating us. Now we know why they left, and we know how to hurt them." He brought up a display of Earth's hidden shipyards, vast underground facilities where vessels of human design waited in secret. Ships that combined Commonwealth principles with human ingenuity, free from the deliberate flaws and limitations of their alien technology. "We're not their experiment anymore," Robert declared. "We're their worst nightmare, and they don't even know it yet." As the meeting ended, Emma stayed behind, studying the Commonwealth data. Their arrogance was clear in every file, every report. They had created the perfect storm, a species with something to prove, the basic knowledge to build upon, and 50 years of determination to show the galaxy they were wrong. The Commonwealth hadn't just abandoned an experiment. They had created their own replacement, and soon they would learn exactly what humanity could do when pushed too far. Earth was ready. The time for hiding was almost over. Emma stood in the newly discovered testing chamber, deep beneath the Australian outback. Ancient Commonwealth machines lined the walls, covered in 50 years of dust. Her team had found this facility by accident while expanding an underground farm system. "This wasn't just any research station," she said into her recorder. "This was where they tested us. All of us." The screens around her flickered to life as power flowed through old circuits. Each display showed different human communities from the past. Farmers adapting Commonwealth growing techniques, engineers modifying alien tools, children learning at speeds that seemed to frighten their alien observers. Dr. Stone called Mark, her young assistant. "We found their main data core. It's intact." They gathered around the massive computer as it hummed back to life. Files appeared on the screen, thousands of them, each labeled with clinical precision: human response to crisis, adaptation rate analysis, threat assessment updates. "They weren't helping us grow," Emma whispered as she read. "They were studying our breaking points." The files revealed a darker truth than they had imagined. The Commonwealth hadn't chosen Earth randomly. They had selected humanity specifically for their greatest traits: adaptability, creativity, and most importantly, their unique ability to learn from failure. "Look at this," Mark pointed to a report. "They introduced deliberate problems into their technology before giving it to us. They wanted to see how we would fix things." Emma's hands tightened into fists as she read more. The Commonwealth had created artificial disasters, sabotaged their own equipment, and then watched how humans would respond. Every triumph humanity had celebrated during the Commonwealth's presence had been a carefully monitored test. She opened her comm link to Director Reed. "Sir, you need to see this. The whole truth. It's worse than we thought." Hours later, Earth's Defense Council gathered in the underground chamber. Robert Reed wheeled himself through the facility, his aged face growing darker with each new revelation. "Show them," Emma commanded, and Mark brought up the Commonwealth's final report. A hologram appeared, showing alien scientists discussing their findings. "The human capacity for warfare is particularly concerning. When faced with challenges, they don't just solve problems. They create weapons. Every tool we give them, they see its potential for defense and offense." Another alien spoke. "Their children are the most dangerous. They don't think in our established patterns. They take our technology and use it in ways we never imagined. They don't just learn, they improve." Robert's voice was cold. "They feared us. Not what we were, but what we could become." Emma nodded, bringing up more data. "The Commonwealth has existed for 10,000 years. In just 3 decades, we took their basic technology and started improving it. No other species had ever done that." Mark stepped forward, holding up a small device. "This is their original design for a power core." He placed another device next to it. "This is what we made from it. Ours is twice as efficient, using principles they never considered." "Because they never had to," Robert added. "They grew slowly, carefully, each advancement taking centuries. We did it in years." The screens around them showed more test results. The Commonwealth had given identical technology to multiple species, but only humans had consistently broken it down and rebuilt it better. "There's something else," Emma said quietly. She brought up a star map, showing dozens of worlds marked in red. These are the other test worlds, the other species they abandoned. But look at the data. None of them were advancing like us. We weren't just part of the experiment. We were the control group, the standard they measured others against. Robert wheeled closer to the map, and when we exceeded their expectations, they ran. Emma finished. They weren't just afraid of what we'd become. They were afraid we'd contact the other worlds, that we'd show them what was possible. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Commonwealth hadn't just been testing humanity's limits. They had been trying to understand how to control them. Every piece of technology, every interaction, had been designed to guide human development along safe, predictable paths. Well, Robert said, a fierce smile crossing his face. They failed. They wanted to know our limits. We'll show them we don't have any. Mark, send word to the shipyards. Emma, get every scrap of data from this facility. He turned to face the gathered council members. The Commonwealth thought they were studying us. Instead, they gave us everything we needed to surpass them. They wrote the manual on their own weaknesses and left it right here for us to find. The ancient facility hummed around them, its secrets finally revealed. Humanity had been meant to be a cautionary tale in the Commonwealth's great experiment. Instead, they would become the force that brought the entire system crashing down. The time for study was over. The time for action had begun. Deep within the mountains of old Switzerland, the largest of Earth's hidden shipyards buzzed with activity. Through the massive underground chamber, Marcus Wells, Earth's chief of military strategy, walked alongside the newest warship. Its dark hull gleamed under the work lights, a perfect blend of human ingenuity and reversed Commonwealth technology. Beautiful, isn't she? Marcus ran his hand along the smooth metal. The Commonwealth would never recognize their own tech in her. The ship, nearly ready for its first flight, looked nothing like Commonwealth vessels, where they built their ships tall and graceful. This one was sleek and low. Where they used bright metals and transparent panels, this one absorbed light, almost vanishing in the shadows. Emma Stone joined him, carrying her latest test results. The stealth systems work better than we hoped. Their sensors are designed to detect their own technology. This ship reads as background radiation. Above them, crews worked on the ship's weapons systems. They had taken the Commonwealth's defensive shields and turned them into cutting beams. Their peaceful power cores now pulsed with carefully controlled energy, ready to be unleashed. How many ships do we have ready? Marcus asked, checking his tablet. 15 attack vessels, 30 support ships, and the flagship, Emma replied. All hidden in yards like this one around the world. The Commonwealth satellites still see nothing but farming and basic industry on the surface. They walked to the control room, where dozens of operators ran battle simulations. On the main screen, a detailed map showed Commonwealth patrol routes and defense stations. 50 years of secret observation had given them everything they needed to know. Look at this. Marcus pointed to a simulation running on one screen. It showed their new ships slipping past Commonwealth sensors. They're still using the same security protocols they had when they left. They never thought we'd advance enough to break them. Robert Reed's voice came from behind them. Because they think they know us. They think they can predict us. The aging director wheeled himself to the main console. Show them the new drive test. Emma brought up the footage. On screen, a test ship vanished into space using their modified jump drive. Standard Commonwealth ships can jump 5 light years at a time, she explained. Ours can do 20. We stripped out all their safety limitations. They built everything with backup systems and fail-safes, Marcus added. We built ours for pure performance. Every safety they added, we turned into more power. Robert smiled grimly. How long until the fleet is ready? 2 weeks, Marcus replied. We're running final crew drills now. The Commonwealth won't expect their primitive experiments to have anything like this. Through another door, they entered the crew training area. Hundreds of Earth's best pilots and warriors trained on simulators, learning to use their hybrid technology. Each person had been chosen not just for skill, but for creativity, the human trait that had frightened the Commonwealth most. "Remember what we found in their research files," Emma said, watching the training. "They noted the humans don't just use tools. We improve them. We don't just fight. We innovate. Every failure teaches us something new." Marcus nodded, pulling up combat scenarios on a nearby screen. "That's why our training focuses on improvisation. The Commonwealth fights with standard tactics, documented responses. We're teaching our people to think differently every time." "Show them the carrier," Robert commanded. They walked through another massive door into a second chamber. Here, their largest ship waited. Unlike Commonwealth carriers, which launched small, standardized fighters, this one carried ships of various sizes and roles. Some were tiny and fast, designed to slip through shields. Others were mid-sized, built to adapt to whatever the battle required. "The Commonwealth believes in perfect hierarchy and order," Marcus explained to a group of pilots. "Every ship has its role. Every role has its place. But we've built ships that can change roles mid-battle. They'll never expect that." As the day ended, Marcus stood with Emma and Robert, watching the crew's work. 50 years of preparation had led to this moment. While the Commonwealth's watchers saw only scattered lights of cities on Earth's surface, beneath the ground, humanity had built something unprecedented. "They thought abandoning us would keep us weak," Robert said quietly. "Instead, they gave us exactly what we needed, a reason to prove them wrong." Emma checked her final reports. "All ships will be ready on schedule. The Commonwealth won't know what hit them." Marcus looked at the fleet one last time before heading to his quarters. "They wanted to study human nature. Well, they're about to learn what happens when you back humans into a corner. We don't just survive, we come back stronger." The lights dimmed in the shipyard, but work continued through the night. Humanity's revenge was almost ready. The bridge of the Earth ship Phoenix hummed quietly as it approached the Commonwealth monitoring station near Alpha Centauri. Captain Bill Ward watched the massive alien structure through his viewscreen. After 50 years of being watched, humanity was about to show their watchers something new. "All ships report ready," his communications officer whispered. Around the Phoenix, 14 other Earth vessels remained invisible, hidden by their advanced stealth systems. "Remember," Bill spoke to his crew, "they've never seen ships like ours. They don't know what we can do. Let's keep it that way as long as possible." The Commonwealth station floated peacefully, its sensors still using the same outdated protocols from 50 years ago. They had never upgraded them, never thinking their primitive experiments could reach this far into space. "Sir," his sensor officer called. 3 Commonwealth patrol ships docked at the station. Bill smiled. "Even better. More witnesses to carry our message home." The attack plan, developed by Marcus Wells, was simple but clever. Unlike the Commonwealth's direct approach to battle, humanity had learned to be subtle. 50 years of hiding had taught them patience. "Begin Phase 1, Bill ordered. The Phoenix drifted closer to the station, looking like nothing more than background radiation on Commonwealth sensors. While their attention was focused on their regular scans of Earth, Bill's ship slipped through their defensive perimeter. "Station still shows no alert status," reported the sensor officer. "They don't see us." Bill pressed a button on his chair. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta." In perfect silence, the Earth fleet moved into position. The Commonwealth had always believed in direct, overwhelming force. They never expected their enemies to strike from multiple angles with different tactics. Phase 2, begin. The first sign that something was wrong came when the station's communications suddenly went dark. Earth's tech experts had spent decades studying Commonwealth systems. They knew exactly how to slip through their security. "Alert status on the station," called the sensor officer. "They know something's wrong, but they don't know what." Bill watched as the 3 Commonwealth patrol ships began to move. Their responses were exactly as predicted. Standard procedures followed without variation. All ships, Phase 3. Show them what humans can do. The Earth fleet dropped their stealth fields all at once. The Commonwealth ships suddenly found themselves surrounded by vessels they had never seen before, using technology they thought impossible for humans to develop. Warning shot, Bill commanded. Let's show them their shields aren't as strong as they think. A beam of energy, created from modified Commonwealth shield technology, sliced through the station's outer defenses like they weren't there. Alarms blared across all channels as the Commonwealth realized they were under attack from their abandoned experiment. Multiple distress calls being sent, reported communications. They're calling for reinforcements. Perfect. Bill smiled. Let them call. Let them all know that Earth is back. The battle that followed was brief but spectacular. The Commonwealth ships, designed for fighting traditional battles, had no defense against Earth's hybrid technology. Their shields, designed to stop normal weapons, couldn't block attacks made from their own modified shield energy. Station's main power is down, reported Tactical. Their ships are trying to jump away. Let one go, Bill ordered. The others we capture. The Commonwealth needs to know exactly who did this. As planned, one Commonwealth ship escaped into hyperspace, carrying news of the impossible attack. The others, disabled by precise strikes from Earth's fleet, floated helplessly. Begin boarding operations, Bill commanded. Download everything from their computers. Let's see what other surprises the Commonwealth has been keeping from us. Within hours, the station was under Earth's control. The crew had surrendered quickly, shocked to find themselves facing humans who were supposed to be trapped on their home world, using technology that shouldn't have been possible. Bill opened a channel to Earth Command. Robert Reed's face appeared on the screen. Station is secured, Bill reported. Casualties minimal. The Commonwealth just learned we're not their obedient experiment anymore. Robert nodded. Well done, Captain. Their response, exactly as predicted. They're scrambling ships from 3 sectors. They still think in straight lines, direct responses. They have no idea what else we've planned. Good, Robert replied. Begin Phase 2 of the operation. Let's show them what happens when you give humans 50 years to plan their revenge. As Bill's crew secured their prizes, he looked at the captured Commonwealth personnel. Their faces showed not just defeat, but complete confusion. They had believed humans were safely contained, safely controlled, safely predictable. They were about to learn just how wrong they had been. The captured Commonwealth station had revealed a treasure trove of information. In the main control room, Emma Stone stared at the display showing 12 glowing dots, the other abandoned experiment worlds. Each one marked a species the Commonwealth had tested and discarded, just like humans. Send the signal, Robert Reed commanded from Earth. His face on the main screen showed fierce determination. Emma pressed her hand against the transmitter. The message they'd prepared was simple. You are not alone. We were abandoned too. We found a way to fight back. Join us. Within hours, the first responses arrived. The closest world, a planet of beings who had evolved in high-gravity conditions, responded immediately. We remember the Commonwealth. We want to help. More messages followed. Each abandoned world had spent decades advancing in their own way, hidden from Commonwealth eyes. Some had developed incredible biological technologies. Others had mastered energy manipulation. Each had taken the Commonwealth's abandoned scraps and transformed them into something new. Look at this, Marcus Wells pointed to an incoming transmission. A species that evolved in ocean depths had created ships that could phase through solid matter. Another, from a desert world, had developed powerful teleportation systems. The Commonwealth's greatest mistake, Emma said, reading the reports, was thinking these worlds couldn't talk to each other. They never imagined we'd find a way. In the following days, representatives from each world gathered secretly on the captured station. Bill Ward's fleet provided security, their ships now upgraded with technology shared by their new allies. The desert world's delegate, a tall being named Kerr, spoke first. For 50 years, we thought we were alone. Abandoned for being too different, too aggressive, too unpredictable. But look what that abandonment created. The high-gravity world's representative, Mole added, "We each solved the same problems in different ways. Together, we're stronger than the Commonwealth ever imagined." Emma presented Earth's battle data, showing how they had defeated the Commonwealth's defenses. Each species added their own discoveries, their own innovations. What the Commonwealth had intended as isolation had instead created 12 unique approaches to surpassing their technology. Their biggest fear, Marcus explained to the gathered allies, was that we would develop in ways they couldn't control. By abandoning us, they guaranteed exactly that. The revolution spread quickly. Earth's victory had shown the Commonwealth was vulnerable. More hidden facilities were attacked, each strike combining the unique abilities of multiple species. The Commonwealth's standardized defenses couldn't handle attacks that came in 12 different, impossible ways. On their fortress worlds, the Commonwealth finally realized the full extent of their mistake. Their experiments hadn't just survived. They had thrived, evolved, and now worked together. Every weakness in Commonwealth technology had been found and exploited by beings who had spent 50 years studying how to overcome it. Another sector has fallen, Bill reported from his ship. The Phoenix now led a fleet of vessels from all 12 worlds, each modified with shared technologies. The Commonwealth's own citizens are starting to ask questions. They're wondering why these primitive experiments can defeat their best defenses. Robert watched from Earth Command as reports came in. Commonwealth ships, designed to fight traditional battles, had no answer for desert ships that teleported past their shields, or ocean ships that phased through their hulls, or Earth vessels that turned their own technology against them. Their entire society is based on control and prediction. Emma observed, studying the data. They don't know how to handle species that break their rules. The Commonwealth had created their own worst nightmare. 12 species who had learned to innovate beyond their expectations, each bringing unique perspectives and solutions. Together, they were dismantling the Commonwealth's power piece by piece. They thought abandonment would keep us weak, Marcus said to the Allied Council. Instead, it made us stronger. We each found our own path, developed our own strengths. Now we're showing the galaxy what real advancement looks like. As the revolution grew, more Commonwealth worlds began to question their leaders. The truth about the abandoned experiments spread, causing shock and outrage. The Commonwealth's perfect order began to crack under the weight of their own lies. Emma looked at the star map, now showing dozens of liberated systems. They wanted to study evolution and advancement. Well, they're about to get a very close look at what happens when you try to cage thinking beings. The alliance of abandoned worlds grew stronger each day. The Commonwealth's age of control was ending. A new era of innovation and cooperation was about to begin. The Commonwealth's capital world, Primaris, hung in space like a jewel. Its gleaming towers and orbital rings had stood untouched for 10,000 years. Now, the combined fleet of the abandoned worlds waited at its doorstep. On the bridge of the Phoenix, now upgraded with technology from all 12 allied species, Captain Bill Ward stood with representatives from each abandoned world. The ship had grown more powerful than its designers could have imagined, just like the alliance it represented. Final reports coming in, Emma Stone announced from her station. The Commonwealth's inner defense fleet is moving to intercept. The Commonwealth had gathered their entire remaining force, 10,000 ships of their most advanced design. Under normal circumstances, it would have been an overwhelming force. But these were not normal circumstances. All ships, report ready, Bill commanded. The responses came in 12 different languages, each translated instantly by their combined communication systems. Kerr, the desert world's commander, spoke first. Our teleportation grid is ready. We can move our ships inside their defense perimeter at your signal. Ocean World Phase drive standing by, added their ally Mole. Their solid barriers mean nothing to us now. Robert Reed's voice came through from Earth Command. Remember, we're not here for destruction. We're here to end their control, not repeat their mistakes. The Commonwealth's response was predictable, a demand for immediate surrender. They still couldn't understand how their abandoned experiments had achieved this level of advancement. Their sensors showed impossible readings as each allied species contributed their unique technologies to the attack. "Begin the operation," Bill ordered. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. Earth ships, using modified Commonwealth technology, disrupted their defense screens. Desert world vessels teleported through the gaps, while ocean world ships phased through solid matter. High-gravity world weapons pulled their ships apart with focused gravity beams. The Commonwealth fleet, designed to fight traditional battles, found themselves facing attacks that came from 12 different directions using 12 different methods. Their standardized responses, so effective for thousands of years, now proved to be their greatest weakness. "Their orbital defense ring is down," Emma reported. "Inner defenses failing." The Commonwealth's leaders, watching their perfect system crumble, finally did something they had never done before. They asked for talks. "Channel open," Emma announced. On the main screen, the Commonwealth High Council appeared. Their faces showed confusion and fear as they looked at the mixed crew of formerly abandoned species. "How?" the High Chancellor asked. "You were experiments. Controlled. Limited." Bill looked at his allies before responding. "That was your mistake. You thought abandonment would weaken us. Instead, it forced us to become stronger. Each world you left behind found their own path, their own solutions." Emma stepped forward. "You studied evolution, but you never understood it. Real growth doesn't come from control. It comes from challenge, from necessity, from freedom to find new ways." The Commonwealth's capital city hung silent below them. Their perfect order had been broken not by brute force, but by innovation they couldn't predict or control. "Your experiment is over," Robert announced from Earth. "The species you abandoned have surpassed you. Now you have a choice. Adapt and join us as equals, or fade into history." The surrender was quick. The Commonwealth, faced with technology they couldn't understand and species that had grown beyond their control, had no choice. In the days that followed, the Alliance reshaped the galaxy. The other Commonwealth worlds, many of whom had questioned the abandonment policy, welcomed the change. The age of control and experimentation was over. "What now?" Emma asked, standing with Bill and the other commanders as they watched the sun rise over Primaris. "Now we do what humans and all thinking beings do best," Bill replied. "We grow. We learn. We build something better." The Alliance established new principles. No species would be abandoned. No development would be controlled. Innovation and cooperation would replace hierarchy and limitation. Robert Reed, watching from Earth, smiled as he read the final reports. His father, who had witnessed the abandonment 50 years ago, would have been proud. Humanity had not just survived, they had led the way to a better future. The Commonwealth's great experiment had failed. Instead of proving the need for control, they had proven the opposite, that true advancement comes from freedom, challenge, and cooperation. As the Allied fleet prepared to depart Primaris, leaving behind a changed galaxy, Bill looked at his crew. Humans working alongside beings from every abandoned world, each contributing their unique strengths to a greater whole. "They wanted to study evolution," he said quietly. "Well, they just got a front-row seat to the next stage of galactic civilization. The age of the Commonwealth was over. The age of the forgotten had begun."